Hi, this is Andy Walks With Me. I'm Andy, and we are here in Matthew chapter 20. And so Matthew chapter 20 has kind of a theme. The theme is the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And it kind of starts in the previous chapter. You know, it talks about the rich young ruler. And the story of the rich young ruler at the end, Peter kind of looks at Jesus and says, you know, we gave up everything and followed you. You know, in the way that the rich young ruler wasn't able to receive. And he was like, what are we going to get? And Jesus was like, you know, you were going to, you know, rule over Israel and not rule, but you're going to judge. You're going to judge, you know, your people. You're going to be in a high place, but I just want you to know that you're not going to be the only ones. And he says, it's kind of like this. He's like, let's say there was a guy that owned a vineyard. And he said to the people that own the vineyard, hey, I'm going to offer you one day's wage, a denarius, for working in my vineyard for a full day. Back then, a full day was 12 hours. And so the workers agree to it, and then later on in the day, he's like, I need more workers. And so he goes out and he brings some more people, and then later on in the day, he brings in some more people, and at the end of the day, when there's just 1 hour left, and it says the 11th hour, he brings in these people, and he says, how come you're not working? And they said, nobody will hire us. And he said, why don't you come in my field also? And then, at the end, we got to cross the street real quick here. At the end, he says, hey, he talks to the foreman, says, round everybody up, we're going to give them their wages. And he said, I want you to do the last first and the first last. And so, the last ones that come in, he pays them a denarius. And the people that are in the beginning, I'm sure they're thinking, if they're getting a denarius, then we're going to get more than we bargained for. But as they keep going, everybody gets the same pay. Everybody gets a denarius. And the last were paid first. So the ones who came in and were working a 12-hour day, they're saying, this isn't fair. You know, you paid them the same that you paid us, but we worked 12 times longer. And the owner of the vineyard says, didn't we agree that you get paid a denarius? And he says, it's gracious at all that they even worked in the field. You know, some people didn't have work. But he says, you know, this is my generosity. I will do with it as I please. And Jesus is saying the kingdom of heaven is like that. Or my kingdom is like that. I think it's important to highlight here. I feel like I should have mentioned this earlier in the Bible, but when Jesus is talking about his kingdom, he's not talking about something that only exists after you die. If Jesus is your king, if he's Lord of your life, then you're in his kingdom. You know, the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Jesus, it exists all around us. You know, when you're at church and you're surrounded by other Christians, that's part of the kingdom. And you know, the kingdom of Jesus is you know, a force in this world, but more than that, it's a force in the next one. But it exists now. So that was a little side note. Anyway, what Jesus is saying to his disciples is they're the first. They're the people getting the denarius and working a 12-hour day. You know, us 2,000 years later, we're getting a denarius also. And it kind of ties in because later on in this passage is another part where the wife of Zebedee comes to Jesus and says, when you come into your kingdom, I want my sons to be on your left hand and on your right. She's saying, I want them to be your main people. And Jesus looks at them and says, Are you able to drink the cup that I'm drinking, or that I'm going to drink? And by that he means his crucifixion. And they said yes, because they didn't know what he was talking about. And he said, indeed you will drink of the same cup that I drink, for believing in Christ. But he said, but you will drink the cup that I drink, but I cannot offer you my right hand and my left, because that belongs to God. But he's saying, and then he says it again, but if you want to be first in my kingdom, you should be the last. Because in the same way that Jesus died for us, we should die for other people. We should serve other people. There was a sermon by Tim Keller called The Upside Down Kingdom, where he's talking about how, in a regular kingdom, the king doesn't do much. Everybody just kind of tends to his every needs, and the people surrounding the king and close to him, on his right hand and on his left, everybody tends to their needs. They own everything and they get everything. But in Jesus' kingdom, the one who's doing the work, the one who's fighting and dying and, really caring about other people, they are going to be the ones on the top. And even they, at the end, are going to take their crown and they're going to give it to God, because he gets all the glory. I feel like the parable of the not the tenants, but the one that we just talked about. What is it? The worker and his pay. That really speaks to me, because I don't know how many times here on earth I see people put in prominent positions in churches, and I think, why them? Why them and not me? Or, sometimes I just see how other people are blessed by God. And I think, I'm not blessed like that. God hasn't blessed me in that way. And it makes me sad. It makes me frustrated. But I can't do anything. God has been so good to me. God has been more than gracious to me. How could I look at God and say, you're not fair to me. It's not true. God is more than fair. I take that back. God is unfair in the sense that I have been blessed more than I even deserve. And if you belong to him, you've been blessed more than you deserve. God's unfairness is a glorious thing. He has given us more than we could ever repay him for. So that's my takeaway from Matthew chapter 20. Hope you have a great day.